just not any president anymore.
Huh?
I said there's no president anymore.
Why is he getting fucking impeached?
No, Mr. Obama was the final president. Right? He broke the supreme law of the nation, which says for excessive national debt, it's your right and your duty to overthrow the government. Right? And it's the supreme law of the nation, the Declaration. Right? The supreme law of the land. It says, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to separate the political bands that we have been connected to. Right? So, and then it says that you have to tell the judges of the world the reason for the separation, right? Well, the separation never happened until after the connection. And the government, the word independence means non-political voters government. So it was a new government that started in 1803. And everything that the government tells everybody is a lie. And everything that the media says is a lie, right? They just want you to participate in a previously canceled election, right? The Declaration is an announcement of a job application for one person who is the next representative of the people, right? So for excessive national debt, one of the people can become the representative. And so I did that, right? And so when I became the representative, they all lost their positions on 5 December 2014. But they all got paid until 20 November 16. So during that time frame, Donald Trump colluded with Mr. Obama to make 3,000 videos against the Republic Nation. And party unity is a national conspiracy against the Republic Nation. Now, the Democratic Republican Party is a treasonous party from England. They're not allowed to be in our government. They've been listed and registered in the records of the public domain as being against the people and against the nation since 1803, no, since 1787 when they signed the job contract. England invaded French Polynesia. The founding fathers were supposed to amend the Articles of Freedom from the Confederation of French Polynesia, which is America. But they lie to you. There's 3 houses, there's 3 presidents, and there's 2 seats of government, right? The first house is the White House, and it's American and it's French owned by the King of France. That's why there are no lawmakers. The people that we elect cannot make laws or make bills or acts of Congress, not without the owner's permission. And the owner is the King of France. And he gave his envoy the responsibility of taking care of the Treaty of Amity and Commerce. That person represents the king, so that person is literally the owner. And Donald Trump isn't the president because, see, the presidency ended, and that's what they're hiding. They're hiding the fact that Mr. Obama lost the job contract that Donald Trump doesn't have. And they're hiding the fact that Mr. Obama completed the mission that he was hired for in 2012. The job of the president is to receive their executive whose name is E pluribus unum. And that's what it says on the seal, right? The name of the next representative. So E pluribus unum is the chosen name by the King of France. And it's called the Plan of Treaties. And the restrictions put on the temporary English government called the United States government is an English organization. Those restrictions are called constitutions, right? So literally, when they signed the Constitution, they surrendered to the terms of this temporary government. And it says that when somebody has a majority in every state, there shall not be a national election. So, when Mr. Obama increased the national debt from 10 trillion to 22 trillion, I requested to be the already appointed position of the representative of a citizen whose name is E pluribus unum. And the election is a contest between citizens and men. And it's about representation, right? Our representative stepped down in 1803 from the first chair of the first house, the White House, into the second chair of the employees, the president. So there's only 5 people in the Constitution. The representative who is chosen, and that's me, Mr. E pluribus unum. Then my employees are the president, the vice president, the representative, and the senators. And there's only 5 people in that government contract. It's a non-political job contract. Politicians aren't in it. Politics aren't in it. And if you're not specifically mentioned in the Constitution, then you're not in the government. So everything happened, but the thing they won't tell you is the Lee Resolution was the first thing the Founding Fathers ever did. And it says only the representative of the independent state, which is Jefferson's District of California, this 10 square mile city of San Luis Obispo, is the supreme legislative branch of the government. The Constitution said that the independent state was a place that shall have been created. So it's your right and your duty to overthrow the government. Well, that's part of the duties. And the job is explained in something called the difference between profit and non-profit organizations. The United States Government.org is an English government organization, but it's a private non-profit organization. All right? So the people don't have the power to vote Donald Trump into somebody else's private non-profit organization. All right? And there's 3 members, me, Joe Biden, and Mr. Obama. Joe Biden and Mr. Obama, they lost their job contract for misappropriating $12 trillion. So the contract's over. The Constitution, Mr. Obama was ordered to tell the people who the executive is, E pluribus unum. And he's ordered to tell them that there's a permanent presidential and congressional disability, that the Congress was prohibited from having any more national elections, and that the president has an inability to perform his duties because he rehired 2 men to run the office of the executive until the executive arrives in the government. All right? The executive comes from the supreme legislative branch. Now, we didn't get independence when, see, the name of the government is called the United States of America. We didn't get independence when they agreed to the terms below because, see, we the people of the USA, that's the Founding Fathers. They represented the non-political voters' government. That's what independence means. It means non-political voters' government. The 13 colonies sided with France. They were anti-federalists. And they never became the United States because that's the government. Right? But the government never started till 1803. And the first representative stepped out of the first chair into the second chair. Well, there's only 2 representatives, and they were there with Congress, all right, during the First Continental Convention. And so they're supposed to amend our Articles of Freedom, but instead they wrote their own rules. They wrote their own restrictions called the Constitution. So according to the Constitution, Mr. Obama's last day of the final president was 21 November. Okay. And it says that it's my first day because I'm Thomas Jefferson's legal successor. All right, and so the elections are a contest between citizens and men, and it's about representation. That's why it says there's only one election in the fall, and then all contestants must be for the people. All right, that's what it says. So if somebody's not for the people, well, you can't vote for them. But see, the contract's over, and Mr. Obama violated the Declaration. But on 5 December 2014, they all lost their positions, and on 1 January 15, I enacted the only executive order that we have. It was written by the first executive, Thomas Jefferson, and it can only be enacted by Mr. E pluribus unum, the next executive. So, knowing that the government's shut down and Mr. Obama didn't comply with the Constitution, it ordered him to tell the people that there's a permanent presidential disability and a permanent congressional disability, that their temporary job is over. Instead, they created party unity. But the collusion and the obstruction is on the records of 7 December 2015. It's when all of the fired congressmen, they all changed the rules. They took the Patriot Act that started in 202 and they said, oh, it doesn't start till 217. But they're making 900% off of a anti-terrorist insurance policy for the terror that they create, right? And they pushed back nuclear armament by 100 years. And they're doing all this horrible stuff. They're using the media to lie to the people. But the new government has 330 million jobs available that all pay $120,000 a year, tax-free, with free housing and free education and free health care. Because, see, the money that they're stealing from us from our corporate contract on the back of the dollar bill, that's enough money for us to have that. They don't want us to have our own money. It's a public fraud. They're not allowed to be in our. They're not allowed to be in our government. And they're using the media to lie to the people. But everything that happened, the Lee resolution was the first thing that they did. And the states are independent. They can't represent themselves. And altogether, all the states don't represent the nation. They represent the government, right? So the new government, without paying them $750 billion a year to not represent us, everybody born in America can get $120,000 a year tax-free for life. And it's free housing, free education, and free health care. But they don't want us to have our own money. And after 19 months of non-compliance with Mr. Obama, I turned him into every single agency that there was. And I said, hey, Mr. Obama, he's not complying with the Constitution.
Right.
So the Russians didn't meddle because they didn't sit on the floor when both houses got closed, right? It was the English who meddled because they're the only reason the Democrats and Republicans represent England. When you vote for them, you lose every time because they both represent England and this is America. And you're not supposed to vote for them. They got you brainwashed into voting. But there is no President Trump, and nobody voted him into my private, non-profit organization. That's what Rule 44 of the House of Representatives says. But there's three houses. The upper house, the upper chamber of the House of Representatives is the White House, and it's American and French owned. The lower two houses is the lower two branches of the government of the English House and Senate, and they're both closed. According to Parliament, when the upper chamber is open, the lower chamber is closed. And there is no 115th Congress, and there is no 116th Congress. We have a unicameral Congress, and nobody's in it but one person. But our government is in limbo. It's the government of ourselves. That's what the original name of our government. And the USA English government is over with. But they got our military hijacked for 17 years now, and they got control of the media, but they have no constitutional authority. The elections are canceled. They're supposed to be between citizens and men, and you cannot vote for politicians. And anybody advertising to run for a campaign is committing treason, right? And they're violating the RICO Act. It's an invasion of our non-political voters' government. That's what the word independence means. But it also means freedom from England, their bank, their control, and their politics. But the Lee resolution says that the American independence for us, for the people, doesn't start until somebody enacts the secret enactment clause of the Lee resolution. All right? Okay. And that's what they signed first on the 2nd of July, 1776. All right? It establishes the upper chamber of the House of Representatives. So I had to close the district by enacting the Declaration on January 15, and then on 9 May 16, I enacted the supremacy law, declaring that the Republic Nation has supremacy over the fired USA English government organization. Donald Trump is fake, the media is fake, they're all lying just to steal our money. And all these stories, they're not real, and it has nothing to do with the government. All right? The job of the presidency is an agreement between three men. A citizen named E pluribus unum, who represents the nation and the vote and the people, and then two temporary presidents hired once every 4 years until the next representative arrives. It's a test of all the people. So all men are created equal. I mean, there's no elite, there's no establishment. The Lee resolution disestablishes and unestablishes the USA English government organization. So they're all rogue, they're all fake, and they're all committing treason on the record every day.
So how can you hold them accountable for that?
Well, only I can do that. But see, that's why I'm being blocked by every single news agency that there is. They won't give me a chance to tell the people the truth. And they don't want you to know the truth, right? Okay, so anyway, I'll talk to you later. Donald Trump, you are not the president. Get the hell off of the media, dude. You're an asshole.